Welcome, everybody, to the CFL Weekly Pick'em Show. We're at Week 18 on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I'm your co-host, Mike Goodpaster, and there's just two of us tonight as Brian Schmidt is sailing somewhere over the ocean blue. Help me welcome four-time Grey Cup winner, CFL legend, Robert Drummond. How you doing, Robert?
Pretty good. I always keep hearing, four times Grey Cup winner. My name. I'm like, wait a minute. They won it four times, but glad to be here.
You did win it four times, right? I'm not screwing this up.
No, you're absolutely right. But when you take a step back and you realize what you accomplished in the game, you were just playing just to have fun. I never played the game, to be remembered. I just played the game because I loved it. And I look at these young athletes now, and it's, and even in myself, being reviewed, to be able to sit here and say it's like, a four-time Grey Cup winner. It's like, wow, I did actually accomplish something in the game that I love to do. And that's a lot of pride, in me.
Yeah, most definitely. Let's start off with this week. We had a great game between Winnipeg and Ottawa, and it was a certain victory until it wasn't. Despite holding a 15-point lead with just over 3 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter, the Blue Bombers saw a victory which seemed so sure just a few minutes earlier slipped through their hands after Trevor Harris and the Red Blacks staged a remarkable comeback, tying the game and sending it into overtime. But it was the Bombers who emerged victorious as quarterback Matt Nichols and his offense connected the touchdown and two-point conversion in overtime while the defense did the rest. Adam Big Hills forced a fumble to seal the victory for Winnipeg. And I think this is what we've been expecting from these two teams. I mean, they look like two contenders in this game, Robert.
This is what the CFL is all about. It's about all right, we always put week in and week out, we put Calgary on an upper echelon, against these other teams, but then, we have Winnipeg, in Ottawa going out there and putting out a game of majesty like this, what a great game. Going into the playoffs, it's a testament to what sports and what the CFL is all about. What a great game. And good for Winnipeg. There's somebody who quietly I've been rooting for, to go out there, and grab that second place, to grab that possibly first place about dominance. But, good for them to be able to go out there, and do what they need to do. Ottawa's a team I still don't understand.
Yeah, I don't think any of us do, Robert. At least in this game, I think they just lost because Winnipeg played a little bit better than they did. I mean, both teams ran the ball well. Yeah, I mean, in the end, I don't think this is – to me, this is more of a positive for Ottawa because now they've played a couple decent games in a row.
It is, but on paper, they should be a dominant team, at least a dominant team in the East, but they're not. Yeah. And the only thing that could, in all my years of experience, that can strike me is it goes from in any organization, you start at the bottom and work your way down, and it's got to be at the top. Get rid of the people at the top, and it helps us going on. But I do not understand that organization.
Yeah, talent-wise, they're better than 8-6, and they're still struggling to win the East. Hamilton is now only a game back as they had the bye week this last week. And another team that keeps fighting and keeps hanging in there, the BC Lions, who held off a late surge from the Toronto Argonauts, led by quarterback James Franklin, to take home 2 points on Saturday night and keep things interesting in the West Division with a 26-23 lead, or 26-23 win. We know Toronto's dead in the water, but you got to commend them for not just going through the motions. James Franklin played well, came in 2 touchdowns, no picks. Jonathan Jennings didn't turn the ball over, and from what I see, when Jonathan Jennings doesn't turn the ball over, BC usually wins.
I mean, you always say Jonathan Jennings is a gambler. Maybe not talent-wise, but he reminds me a lot of Brett Favre. He's a gambler. And they'll go as far as he takes them. If he doesn't make mistakes, they can win. They can win some games. A very, very stout defense, good defense. And they can score points. So they can do some damage. But they'll go as far as Jennings takes them. His ability to be able to go out there and make plays, helps him out a lot. But his ability to be able to go out there and make mistakes hurts them a lot. So it'll be interesting to see what BC doing this game. But good for BC for winning this game. But I feel bad because Toronto's my heart and soul. I played for them, but it is what it is. It's a game of football.
All right, next up, defense was a name in a game in Montreal, and a game that boggles the mind. The Calgary Stampeders were down 6-0 going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
They ended up winning it 12-6. Bo Levi Mitchell struggled. I really don't know what to say about this game, Robert. I mean, it was ugly.
Here you have the classic case of an opponent playing down to their opponent. It's just Calgary went in there with the high expectations of basically, that Montreal was just going to fold over and just let them win. And Montreal had some fight in them, some dog in them left. That's why in football you always have to go into a game thinking that, your opponent's going to treat you like you're the world champions, and they're going to play that way. So, I mean, this is a good test for Calgary. It's a great test for them right now going into the playoffs because they're going to realize that even some of the lesser teams that they're more talented than are going to play them as if they're the Grey Cup, the reigning Grey Cup champions because they're the top tier team. So it's a great lesson for them, and they're lucky to escape with a win from this game.
Yeah, and when we switch over to Edmonton, offense not clicking again. Just 12 points. Yeah, the Rough Riders.
I saw a stat where they haven't scored a touchdown in 2 games.
Yeah, they haven't. It's just been field goals, and they've got Mike Riley, and I don't know what's happening to them here, but right now they're risking not even making the playoffs. And Saskatchewan, I mean, they didn't play the greatest game in the world, but defensively they played really well. And Mike Riley throws 3 picks again. I mean, there has to be alarms going off in Edmonton right now.
There's definitely got to be alarms going off now. Edmonton's got to really take a step back and try and understand what's going on. Something's not right. Something's not right. And it's going to take from, whether it be internal management, whether it be the owner, whether it be the players, whether it be the coaches. They have to figure out what's going on right now because right now something is wrong and it's off. And it's really, really affecting them from a standpoint of not just on the field, but just them doubting themselves. And once you have self-doubt amongst yourself as a team, as an organization, you're not going anywhere. So right now they have to correct the ship. They have to correct it fast within the next week or 2.
Yeah, and they've got Mike Riley, and they're in last place in the West. I mean, that should not happen. And the thing is, last year the knock was there was no defense. This year the defense has been, I mean, it hasn't been great, but it's been a lot better than it was last year, and this team is even worse than it was last year.
Yeah, I mean, goes to show you, man, people don't understand there's so much that goes on in football than just showing up and playing the game. There's a psychology of the game, and I try and talk about that with you guys week in and week out. There's so much psychology that goes with this game, it's unreal.
Yeah, because you could have the most talent in the world, but if it doesn't mesh and guys don't get along, things don't work out well.
Correct. You have to try and figure out a way to try and make it all work together, and exist for one another. It's just not showing up for a game and being the most talented team and winning. It doesn't work like that. Yeah. Guys have to get along. They have to understand one another. If something goes wrong, you have to find a way to try and correct it, and move past it. Some organizations can't. See people. And I always say, people always see the outside. They just see They just think players just show up for the game, play a game, win, and yay, it's all hunky dory. But it's not. There are a lot of problems that go on. And you have to correct those problems. That they deal with 7 days a week. All you see is all we as fans now. We just see the 3 hours they play on game day. You don't see what goes on leading up to that, and that's a major point of what decides between a champion and an also ran.
All right, so let's go ahead and look at the Week 18 games. We're going to start off with a game that is huge now. The Hamilton Tiger Cats, who trail the Ottawa Red Blacks by just 1 game, will be traveling to Toronto to take on the Argonauts. And this is a must-win for Hamilton. They're a game back. And they play Ottawa next week, which is going to be basically for first place as long as they can win this game.
Yeah, I mean, what is Toronto playing for?
Nothing. To keep Hamilton from doing anything? I don't know. But the one thing I will give Toronto is they haven't played well this year, but I don't think there's been too many games where you could question the effort. They're just not very good.
Well, I mean, it's a situation where this is the last game before these guys all go home. No one wants to go into the off season, injured with a chance of free agency looming. Where they can go out there and put their service on for another team. So it's going to be interesting to say. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say players lay down, players take it easy, because that was never a part of me. But I mean, I would understand. This game means nothing to Toronto. It means everything to Hamilton.
So I'm assuming you're picking Hamilton.
Oh yeah, I'm picking Hamilton. 100%. Double digit win.
Yeah, and now next up we've got Saskatchewan and Winnipeg, which are two teams that are playing for everything still. Mm-hmm. Saskatchewan's pretty much got a playoff. They have a playoff berth clinched. Winnipeg's sitting at 8-7. They're in that log jam in the West with BC a half game behind them, Edmonton a game behind them. So the game's at Winnipeg. The game is probably bigger for Winnipeg. Do you like Winnipeg in this one, or do you think Saskatchewan gets the win?
I just like Saskatchewan and their defense. Their defense for the last couple of weeks have been, just to me, have been playing above and beyond the way they're supposed to play. And I just think defense wins this tightly contested battle, and I'm going with Saskatchewan.
I'm going to go with Winnipeg, just because I think they need to gain more. They're at home. I still think the Riders are going to win the Grey Cup at the end of the year, which I did predict at the start of the year, and they're now 10-5. So at least they don't look stupid the way I did after about 3 weeks when they looked like they were tanking. So I'm going to take Winnipeg. It wouldn't surprise me if Saskatchewan beats them. I just think that Winnipeg's more desperate, and they're at home. Next up, Ottawa at Edmonton. I just made up a new city in the CFL. When you look at this, Edmonton's in a must-win situation. Ottawa's not must-win, but if they lose the game, they can find themselves tied for first and playing Hamilton next week. Who do you like in this one, Robert? I think this is a game that it's tough to pick just because you never know which team you're getting with either one.
It's Jekyll and Hyde. They're both struggling. I mean, I can't believe Edmonton's struggling as much as they are. With Mike Riley as a quarterback, he's the past 2 weeks, he's just been struggling. If I had to lean toward anything, I'd lean with Ottawa, because they're just playing a slightly, not much, but slightly a little bit better right now. They're playing, especially on offense. So I mean, I'm going to have to take Ottawa in this game.
All right, I'm going to go with Ottawa also. I just think they're the better football team right now. And then next up, this one's interesting to me. It normally wouldn't be. And if Jonathan Jennings cannot throw picks, from what we saw Calgary the last few weeks, they are beatable. Does BC have a shot here? I mean, their season's kind of on the line right now.
No. I mean, Calgary's going to flex that Calgary muscle going into the playoffs and prove that they are the Calgary dynasty and the Calgary legacy team that they always are. Calgary wins this game, and they win this game by double digits.
All right, I'm going to disagree. No, I'm not. I think Jonathan Jennings will throw 2 or 3 picks, and that'll be the difference in the game. But it wouldn't surprise me if BC's in the game the whole way, just because I'm not sold, and Brian brought it up, to mediocrity, and I think it's more mediocrity than parity. I don't think Calgary is a great football team. I think they're just the most consistent football team right now in the CFL.
Correct.
So I'm going to go with consistent, because when you go against consistent, you usually lose. All right.
Yeah, I agree.
That was a quick show without Brian. It was like 15 minutes. And what happened to your Syracuse Orangemen? I thought they were getting good, then they go to Pitt and lose.
I don't know. I mean, they have a week off to regroup and gather themselves, but they have to find out what team they want to be. They want to be a team that's, finally deciding to get up there and, be amongst the big boys. Do you just want to be an also-ran or a team that's laughed at? It's up to them, As an outsider, there's nothing I can do. I can't go play for them,
No. I mean,
all I can do is give them advice about what it takes to be great.
But, all right, we're going to go ahead and wrap the show up, and we will be back next week. And Brian will be back, because then he will be in Miami, sipping some cocktails, which, sipping some cocktails on the beach, trying to get lucky. All right, guys, we're going to wrap the show up. Thank you, Robert. Remember, you can hear all of our shows on iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher. Wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Robert Drummond, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.